They used to go into the forest as to die off, as to no longer be a burden to the family once they got to a certain age. They're very honorable people, and they like to go out a certain way.
There's no other evidence other than just like, I'm getting out of this tent now. There's not like evidence of animals or any of that stuff, right? They just got out those tents and ran for their life.
Yeah.
And then they were found dead like that. Like that it makes no sense.
Or instead of hypothermia, something just scared them so fast that they didn't have time to like gear up, and they just started running.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's like, so if we were in a tent right now and we're in the middle of Antarctica and it's too cold to go outside, and I put a tiger in that tent, I don't give a fuck what you're wearing. You're getting out of the goddamn tent.
And I think with the suicide forest, there must be, just like the Golden Gate Bridge, some type of draw of, there's kind of folklore surrounding that and kind of this mystique. And if you're feeling depressed, what better way to kill yourself than to kind of go for a walk in the woods and just.
Well, but at the same time, that mountain is a Fuji mountain, I believe,
Fuji,
which basically you can see from many parts of the surrounding area, right? It's just like humongous random mountain. This Fuji mountain at the base is the suicide forest, right? And so you go back.
Yeah,
it's not. It's like right there, but the base kind of button up against it, kind of. But
yeah, I think the tree line goes up, but I could double check that.
I don't know if it's on the mountain.
It's at the base, and I think the forest has its own separate. They have like a name for the forest, but it is on them. It's the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
Right. And that mountain, of course, obviously, you look at it just as a human. Imagine like humans hundreds of years ago or whatever, going like, it's easy to believe like, oh, they had a feeling about the mountain, right? Or they worship the mountain or whatever it might be, right? It's a part that's very important. But, is it possible that certain types of magnetic forces are happening, not just on that mountain, but really on all mountains, right? It's one of those spots where they consider it like the earth meets the heavens kind of thing, right?
I mean, the one thing I like, from that point that I thought was interesting about it, like, because we just been talking about this the last few weeks, is like, you look at Skinwalker Ranch, right? I think the magnetism there. There's like all these hot spots where there's, UFO sightings, and like we talked about vortexes a few weeks ago, like like Sedona, right? You look at like the Hudson River Valley, and there's all these spots with like, and there are physical equipment that can read, read the magnetism is picking up abnormalities. And so when you got a place like Suicide Forest where you're picking up a bunch of abnormalities and simultaneously you have an unprecedented amount of suicides there. I mean, the guy, like that last documentary was saying, there's 70 to 150 bodies. They sweep the forest and find them every year. And then on top of that, whenever you just go for a random hike, they're just random ones you miss because there's so many damn bodies up there, and they're just showing like news after news after news. It's like, that's a pretty crazy thing. And for it to at the same time have these abnormalities, and then all this crazy shit we talked about with Skinwalker Ranch, and it has the same abnormalities.
Well, I don't know if there's radiation though that they've detected at this place. I know there's magnetism.
I haven't heard anything about radiation there, but also the culture in Japan, they have a pretty high suicide rate, don't they?
I don't know.
Yeah, they have like the highest in the world, and it's insane.
So it's not surprising that there's a forest that is called the Suicide Forest that is in Japan, and there's a shit ton of people that go there to kill themselves.
Yeah, but why did it start, right? I mean, it wasn't named Suicide Forest at the beginning.
They got high standards, dude. They got high standards, and they don't live up to the family standards. They go, actually, dude, from the movie I watched, The Forest, I think they kind of tell it in the beginning sort of as like a folklore or legend. I think like old folks, like the elders live with their children or their grandchildren, and the younger take care of the older, right, as they get old. And I think at a certain point, when the senior citizens get to a certain age or inability to, if it's harder to care for them, I think they used to go into the forest as to die off, as to no longer be a burden to the family once they got to a certain age. Something of that nature. I know a lot of the elders, like old folks, would go there to die a long time ago, and that kind of set the whole myth of like there's a lot of spirits and it's haunted, because a lot of people, they call it, I don't know if it translates to the haunted forest or something like that, forest of spirits. It started out like that,
like the native name, you mean?
Yeah, like whatever the native name is, I think it translates to something like that, haunted forest or forest of spirits, something like that. I think the elderly would go there to die once they got to a point where they could, too much of a burden, too hard to take care of. Because they're very honorable people, and they like to go out a certain way. I think that's how it started. And then I don't know when when it became, fucking Suicide Mountain.
Well, what's interesting too is like when they commit suicide, it seems like most of the time it's hangings.
This is like vast majority.
Well,
Yeah.
out in the woods.
What's wrong with the gun, dude?
There's trees everywhere.
Also, well, in Japan,
There's lots of trees.
That's a good branch.
So in Japan, it's really difficult. This is my understanding, is that it's really difficult to own a gun. It's
That's
not
a good
like
point,
it's not like it is here, where it's fairly easy to actually own a gun. And if you're looking to kill yourself, a rope seems, maybe a few minutes. Yeah, maybe
It's
a few minutes. Maybe
second choice.
Hey, before we leave this, radiation aside, Skinwalker Ranch, there was electromagnetic abnormalities all over the ranch, right?
Yeah.
Not radiation related. That's what I'm talking
Right.
about with Fuji Mountain, right? And then same with Sedona and same Hudson River. So
Uh-oh.
take all the radiation. Yeah, that's an extra just fun additive about that psycho place. But
some of these other places we're going to talk about right now do have the radiation effects.
Yeah. What's this? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because you could suicide in Japan, culturally insane. And the fact that there's a forest that maybe culturally drew them there. But it is interesting that also that it has this similarity that kind of almost makes it a vortex. These specific criteria. And so that's, I think, what really kind of brings it into the realm of like our stuff we talk about with UFOs, is that now you're starting to have this paranormal activity happening in an area that's simultaneously having these major anomalies that are
A lot of UFOs,
physically
right?
readable. Right. Yeah. I mean, like that. Because like if there wasn't any readings like that, if there was anything like that, and it was just, you could just say yeah, this is just where fucking culturally it funneled people towards it to commit suicide there because of like their culture and the quantity of suicide and stuff. But the fact that these anomalies, it makes it kind of strange to me. That's all I'm saying. And you look like a snake.
I say let's go for a hike.
Dude. I would go there. I'm not so sure I'd go into those Ural Mountains.
This is where it's like in former Soviet Union, now Russia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these 9 guys were trying to get to the top of the mountain, a team of 9. And I believe there was a pretty young team. I think the oldest was like maybe mid to late 30s. And, these aren't just some random Joe Schmoes hiking up this crazy mountain. Rather, they were experienced. They've done other ventures before. And, the older of them were scientists and whatnot. And so they get to the point of this mountain where it was just, they can't go up any further. It was just a bad time at that instant, right? Snowing, high winds, freezing temperatures, can't see, that kind of stuff. So they said, okay, let's go and let's post up here tonight on this kind of like flat part of the mountain where they're nearby. And what was that they had a name for it over there, like that part of the mountain,
of the Dead or something like that.
Mountain of the Dead. Yeah,
it was pretty funny. Like they said you say the word in like a different language, and it's like the Mountain of Death. It was like
That's what they call it.
Death. It was like
You know?
Death Mountain or something like that.
Right. And so then they could have walked down. They were only about like 1 point something kilometers up the mountain, and they chose to not do that because they didn't want to waste the day or something. Right.
So, I mean, you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, for sure.
So at first I was really skeptical about this story. And I'll tell you why, because it's one thing I have a ton of experience with is being like in high country in the cold. And I could see a lot of everything, the way it went down to a certain point. Now they said they're 1.5 kilometers from the tree line, and you're not going to go higher if you got in a storm. So in the event you get caught in a storm like that, the only reason you're not beelining it back to the tree line is because you're screwed. It's just too cold, too windy, and it's just you cannot get back without dying. So then further on the story, they camp. It's okay. If they're experienced, they might have recognized this. Like, we won't survive the tree line, so let's just dig in. If they knew what they're doing, they dig deep in the snow and make snow shelters. The next segment of the story is I was still super skeptical because it was saying that they cut themselves out of the tent and they ran barefoot. And it's like people that know hypothermia, that's typical. That's exactly what happens. You get too cold, your body burns up in the last attempt to survive. Most people who die of hypothermia are found naked, barefoot, really? Cut their way out of tent. Yep. Most people, they do. That's how they find them. Anyways, they rip your clothes off because you're so hot, but that's like in the last, short period of time before you die. So then they find their bodies at the tree line. And then it goes from being like me going like about to fast forward this documentary to holy shit. And like, that's like, yeah. I mean, we all saw that. Right?
Yeah. They're like burned. They have high levels of radiation on there. Some look like they were tortured.
Hair was great. They had like,
yeah, they were like aged.
Major one person, internal injuries where your ribs are crushed like just dust. And another person, the heart is all super jacked up, right? Like, but nothing on the skin. So
it almost like just going full conspiracy theory and just open up your whole mind. It could be a weird case of like abduction, and then just like after like they're like done with them, then just dumping their bodies again.
The footprints right where they were though too, right? I mean,
they followed the footprints for quite a while.
If a technology is able to come, as far as it would, and be undetected into our world, then I'm sure they could figure out how to make footprints if they really wanted to cover it up. You know what I mean? But like that thing about like, it made me think about like I've seen a few, a fair amount of people who have died where they look like they're perfect on the outside, but they're destroyed on the inside. And the way that happens, and my understanding of it, is like kind of the way kinetic energy travels, right? Like, so when you have like a major, so you get a car accident, right? You'll have like a car into a pole, and then you'll have a couple people in the car that are completely fine, and then one guy that's dead, and then just, his heart's dislocated, or like his aorta dissection, right? The heart, it's just torn from like all that energy hitting it, right? And like people have like traumatic dislocations in their brain, stuff like that. So like, what kind of fucking force when you're out in the snow in a tent
and 9 people too
can hit you? What kind of energy has to hit you for it to crush your ribs into your heart? Like that's
and on top of it, the other things, right? Like, some of them like they exhibited like extreme old age all of a sudden, or there was this evidence of high amounts of radiation and things like this. Like, something happened, and it seemed to me like if all of a sudden you were sleeping there and some force came through like you're explaining, they'd all just be dead in the tent, right? Now maybe they did get like hypothermia and all of them simultaneously running away at the same time, or maybe not the same time, but they all ran in the same direction. I mean, it's too coincidental.
I agree.
Or instead of hypothermia, something just scared them so fast that they didn't have time to like gear up, and they just started running, and then eventually they just died, however far it was from the tent. But with stuff like that, you also kind of wonder if there's some like weird government experiment. Just, hey, there's a bunch of hikers out there. Let's see how this new laser beam does on people.
Yeah, Russians don't have laser beam to do that.
And this was what, in like the 30s or
50s.
50s.
It's like 59 or something. They do not, Mr. Green.
We didn't have
Secret
lasers.
Russian laser.
Laser beam.
Yeah, the AG laser. It's like Indiana Jones. They opened the Ark. That's probably what happened, dude.
Yeah.
They found the Ark. They opened it up, dude, and none of them kept their eyes closed, dude. That was game over, man.
Hey, real
But
quick.
yeah, I think that, but I personally think something scared them out of their tent.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's like, so if we were in a tent right now and we're in the middle of Antarctica and it's too cold to go outside and I put a tiger in that tent, I don't give a fuck what you're wearing. You're getting out of the goddamn tent. So if it's something like, that's something like that, right? Something scared them enough where they're like, fuck
Bro,
it.
you're not gonna have a tiger in Antarctica, bro. Okay, that's as foolish as Russians having a laser beam in the 1950s.
I'm trying
No,
but you know what I mean?
tiger.
Like that would be what it would be. It'd be like if like Alien from Aliens was coming in the tent,
Right.
it's like game over, man. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Well, and that's what it seemed like, but there's no other evidence other than just like, I'm getting out of this tent now. There's not like evidence of animals or any of that stuff, right? They just got out those tents and ran for their life.
Yeah.
And then they were found dead like that. Like that it makes no sense.
Or
you know what else is baffling about it is the ways they died too, because you have a pile of bodies and they all have these very different, it's very dynamic, like there's just so many different ways that they were messed up. You know what I mean? If it was like
One guy had his tongue cut off.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, see, I wonder, was his tongue cut off or did he bite it off? You know what I mean? Like was it found in his mouth? Was the tongue found? They don't really highlight that stuff.
He could have swallowed it.
Yeah, Mr.
Swallowed
Murphy's cracking up over there. But you are right,
Where's
dude. Like
the tongue? Where's the tongue, Jerry?
But I mean, but if they were scared out of their tent, if you're scared so much, in the height of fear, you bite your own, or a lot of pressure or something,
or radiation,
or was it actually like forced out and cut off, right? Or did all the 9 people just have some really bad shrooms?
He just got super old, and then like
the shrooms made him old instantaneously, like in
Really
5 minutes.
I just melt. We're shrooms ever, dude.
That they call that a bad trip.
Oh yeah, that one, dude. That was so gnarly, dude. Like you saw the pictures. I mean, like, so gnarly.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to ask you guys real quick sidebar. Have you heard of or seen this movie? It's called Old, OLD. It came out like now, like a month or 2 ago.
Is that a
Shamalama Ding Dong.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, it's M. Night Shyamalama.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer. I tried to look it up because it said it was released. My wife saw it, and it's been released, but it's not like available even for purchase at a high rate. I can't find it. I was wondering if you guys seen that shit.
I haven't seen it. Look good though. I like his films, regardless of what people say. I think that they're fun.
The only one I didn't like was that fantasy one.
Don't say it.
Which one was that?
The one that came out after. It was like, oh man,
The Last Airbender.
I mean, they're all fantasy.
Yeah, The Last
They're all
Airbender, man. I just couldn't get into that, dude.
Dude,
I
I watched
didn't
that
see
with
that.
my kids a couple times. That one's actually not bad, dude. If you like sit down and watch it, it's like, it is more like wizardry and stuff like that, but it's not bad.
That one's an M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
I watched it.
I've never seen it. My kids have saw it too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, because I'm pretty much, and
I
even
didn't
like
know that was his
Lady
movie.
in the Water and stuff like that. I enjoyed the movies. It's good times, dude. I especially The Village is probably my favorite.
Signs.
I like The
Signs.
Village. Yeah.
Village. I love The Village. It gets so much hatred. I love like 80% of his movies. People say the opposite, like they all suck.
No, I think my 2 favorite are The Signs and The Village.
People go online and they go, what does Justin Bieber and Kim Kardashian think about this movie? That's my new opinion. I'm sticking with it.
Is The Visit his movie? I can't remember. I just watched a movie this year called The Visit.
Oh, that was good. I thought.
You saw it? Yeah, I liked it too.
Dude, that grandma. I started
Here we go.
dude, I started laughing at certain points because it reminded me of Patience that we used to have. Fucking hilarious.
I haven't seen it. What's the visit?
Oh,
Patience.
bro.
It's fucking hilarious.
Is it really?
It's unnerving, dude. Yeah. It's not even like a horror flick, but it's unnerving though, just how they took it the other way. Everything for the last 15 years, or I mean, shit, it goes back to the fucking Shining.
What about the other the one in Australia?
So yeah, we were talking about that. You mentioned that last week on last week's podcast, and it was really interesting. It reminded me a lot of Skinwalker Ranch, especially when like some people were, they'll get headaches or they'll feel sick, and just kind of the whole weird lore behind it. And where did those fucking rocks come from?
Yeah, that's my main thing. So first of all, this is Black Mountain National Park in
That was
Australia. It's like a northeastern part of Australia, right? By Cooktown, that's like the closest big place. But it's always been there. It's like a giant pile of rocks. And these fucking rocks are humongous rocks. Like, my question is, name a place on Earth that you know of naturally that's just a gigantic mountain of someone like poured rocks on the ground.
It's like a Lego set bucket just poured down. Because you just wonder, like, what was it? A structure at first, and then it collapsed under an earthquake or something.
Like those boulders are like round boulders. They're super weird.
Yeah, and I could see how like you would, start crawling into a cave and get lost, disappear.
Yeah, someone's got a GoPro. We got to go over there, dude, and meet some guy like little Timmy, and like and somewhere in Australia, and just be like, "Hey, buddy, here we're gonna give you a GoPro. We just want you to go in there, and we'll tie a string to him, dude."
Dude, I ain't going to that country for a while until they get their shit.
And then we'll just let him go in there so we can see what the fuck. I'm so curious about that mountain now, dude. Like, I just want to go in there.
But even there's stories of like entire herds of cattle going over there and disappearing, right? Why is the cattle going in there, right? Or, okay, there's some people missing. We're going to send out the police or whatever to go figure out what's going on. They go missing. Oh, they send out another team. They go missing. Anyone goes, they just go missing.
And there's other places like that. There's I forget what the valley is called, but there's a place up in Canada that's in the far reaches of like northern Canada where it's really hard to get to. There's been reports of expeditions going in there and people going missing. There's a bunch of weird caves. There's some weird energy going on. A lot of weird places like that. But with the cattle, it reminded me of Skinwalker Ranch when it's like, why are they mutilating cattle?
Well, I don't. Wait,
you know what I mean?
They didn't mutilate cattle.
No, but the cattle are going missing at Black Mountain,
right? Or horses,
or whatever. It just, there were a lot of similar traits to Skinwalker Ranch, I think.
Dude, those cows were subjected to some serious abducting of their bodies, dude. Those ones at Skinwalker Ranch, I'm thinking of that now. That was bananas what happened to them cows.
Yeah, man, I think they look down here, they go, hey, these guys eat burgers. They eat burgers all day. They don't care about cows. So we can just, let's just
look,
do some experiments.
And isn't the rumor like we created cows? It's like a man-made. Have you heard that myth? Cows are man-made.
They gotta be kind of.
We hybrided them, just for food.
It's like most of our dogs.
Keep injecting them with antibiotics and
there wasn't like
steroids
chihuahuas and like English bulldogs walking around the earth before humans. You know what I mean? Like we create all kinds of shit, dude.
Well, what I thought was interesting though about that Black Mountain is that the Aborigine tribes that are native to there that go back, forever, even till this day, and you can see the paintings on rocks and stuff that they believe that there's a giant serpent that lives inside of this Black Mountain. And the serpent is a creator god, but if you disturb it, that's when it's going to kill you, kind of thing. Like, and so they do rituals for like new people that are local to the land to let the serpent know that, through smoke and scents and stuff that they could sense it. So it's obviously that's like that's their belief system. And I don't necessarily believe there's a big giant snake living in there or something, but there's something there. Maybe that's their way of trying to comprehend, even going back many, many years, that, oh, someone going there, they just disappear, right? On top of it, pilots have reported flying above it. All their, navigation systems start failing. There's all this berserk malfunction in the hardware or whatever in their plane. So to me, that depicts there's something there that we cannot explain. And on top of this, it's just a big ass fucking humongous giant pile of fucking rocks and humongous.
They were saying like hearing
What
like
the hell?
moaning sounds and like
Yeah.
strange, that kind of shit was weird to me.
But you wonder with the moaning sounds if
Here it
it's-
comes.
no, but like if like when you're climbing into the rocks and there's a kind of creates like a bunch of wind tunnels and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sure.
Yeah, agreed.
The,
agreed. And like
acoustics could be, like if
it doesn't have to be two giant snakes, giant
yeah,
alien
but
snakes
but
having
like
sex.
if
That good times.
You can hear that shit fucking up at altitude,
if you've ever been to Pinnacles
I've
down
been
south,
there.
all the cave systems, if you just sit in the cave systems, you can hear some weird shit coming from another cave system.
Yeah,
or,
definitely.
or people
Yeah, like
coming
some
up.
guy
and
taking a
just,
dump over his
just the acoustics,
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, wind is so weird, dude. Like, just depending on like what.
And so
altitude it
imagine
is.
being a hiker and knowing you're in the Black Mountain and in that area, and your senses are super alert, and any noise is going to be like, holy shit, what is that? What is that? And it could just be fucking weird acoustics from like all the cave systems and just the boulders and the rock,
I mean, yeah, like, there could be like a high level of radiation, like a mile in, nobody goes in there, and like right when you get there, you just fucking die from radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
There could be a pile of fucking skeletons.
Do you know
somewhere.
how quickly radiation can kill you? Like at what level can it really?
I mean, it depends. Yeah, it depends on quantity, right? For like
Yeah.
you can get zapped enough where you're gonna die next week, and you can get zapped enough where you die right there. So you can get zapped enough where you just die of cancer in your 40s.
Yeah.
You just fucking get exposed to a certain amount. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that type of radiation, what's that other place? God damn it! It's like I think it's called the Valley of the Death.
Valley of up in Siberia.
Yeah, it's right up there in the Russia area and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
And I mean, that one to me is pretty fucking weird too. Like, okay, you have for hundreds of years people saying that the legend of the locals there is that there are these things that pop up out of the ground and fucking shoot fireballs into the sky. And moreover, the whole entire land that is in that area just dead. There's dead trees fucking everywhere. There's nothing that exists that's other than like some grass on the ground and shit. And and then you have that team that went out there and tried to find it, and supposedly they thought they found that shit like many years later, like underwater in little ponds, and then those fools end up getting radiation really, really bad. So I mean, what is up with all this radiation in these places? It seems, and they correlate always to the connotation. That's a bad place. Don't go there. Well, it makes sense because if you go there, you get fucking radiation and you get fucked up, right?
Yeah.
But what's actually going on there? Different question.
It's all fucking decaying uranium from the nuclear wars of the humans that were here fucking 2 rounds ago.
It very well could be that. And then you think about in New Mexico where we store our nuclear waste, right? Like, was it like 2 miles underground or some crazy shit?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you remember that the half-life of uranium is like, I don't even remember what it's like, millions of years, right? So basically that waste underground is going to be here for a long time. We're not going to get rid of it. Now, if there was like an earthquake and that shit collapsed on that, goodbye, humans. You're fucking dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, some guy. The
huh?
half-life of uranium is about 4.5 billion years.
Oh, billionaires. I was way off. I mean, so that's like
I like
ridiculous.
how they
It's
say that about. It's about.
it's approximately.
Roughly.
We're off 100 million years or something.
But they brought up a really good point at the end of the episode where they kind of hinted to, like, I thought about it as if after we're all gone and whatever intelligent species is here afterwards, are they going to look at that area as some evil place to go to that has some spirits?
Yeah,
exactly.
UFO shit,
And that's kind of
what
with the
I'm
Black
saying.
Mountain, right? Like, what if their shit that they use, and what's really interesting about the Black Mountain is that at some point in time, miners found some gold in some river that was coming, right there by the Black Mountain.
Ton of gold.
And then over like how many years they found like tons and tons of it, literally tons. And so it makes you think gold. Just like basically this river that was coming from like right there adjacent to the mountain has shit loads of gold in it. And so it makes you think
yes, I imagine.
And obviously gold is
count me in.
The most precious metal that we know of. I mean, it's the best metal pretty much. Like that should do anything you want.
Shampoo is better.
So with gold, you could do a lot with it. It's very durable, and then
doesn't rust.
You could kind of thin it out, like from a small quantity. It really covers a vast area.
Yeah, and you don't need that much of it to do things. Like we use it in our circuitry all the time, right? It's like in every fucking computer is gold, right? And so it's such a precious element that we use. And so you think, okay, why is there this shit ton of gold over here by this fucking weird ass blocks of rock stacked up? Well, maybe down there somewhere that maybe they did some long time ago, some ancient civilization was mining for gold or something, or maybe they used gold to help them do something different. And so to me, like in comparison with like us stashing our waste, our radiation waste, maybe something similar to that is the reason why that big old pile of rocks is there. Maybe that pile of rocks is gigantic. Come on, man. It's just no human could have ever done that if it was not natural, and I don't believe it's natural.
What would be the point, though?
To block the radiation.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Question about the gold. So I know it's super valuable.
Where is it exactly?
Where's this gold?
Point to me on this map right here with one finger.
You're saying it was northeast? Is that what you're saying?
The part of Australia.
Latitude. Yeah, dude.
Question though.
I'll get you the coordinates.
Question though, seriously, gold, it's highly valuable, malleable. Is it also super conductive?
I wouldn't say it's super conductive, but it's definitely
one of the higher conductive metals. I don't even know that.
Yeah, gold is used all the time because it's so flexible in terms of conducting.
Right.
Like you could do a lot of stuff to gold and it's still just chilling, basically, right? Shiny. We like shiny stuff, right? Well, like think of a diamond, right? I mean, humans like diamonds. They're so pretty, they're so precious. But guess what? Diamond is super effective. Not an element, but like, a combination of elements. It's so hard, right? I mean, literally, there is evidence that some of these old structures around Earth, the only way that we know of right now that could be made is by using diamond saws to cut them, because that's the only thing that's harder than the rock, right? And so it's we like shiny things, but why do we like shiny things? Is it because they're actually really beneficial to our survival? Or
it gets you chicks.
Chicks.
Well, Mr. Green made a good point about it, about how useful it is. And also when my feed cut out last week for a few moments in the last podcast, you guys were talking about like it's interesting looking at these ancient cultures. They're really like advanced, like the Mayans, for instance, Egyptians, etc., and how like, you know, how do we define how advanced we are, right? Because they may be able to achieve the same things we're achieving, but doing it with during completely different methods, like for instance, like how they like lined up, the Pyramid of the Sun and Teotihuacan,
Yeah, Teotihuacan.
with all the planets and the trajectories of the planets orbiting the sun. And then the Mayans, they had like holes in the ceilings of the pyramids to do their calendar based off the stars. I mean, this is without using like any kind of advanced optics to see. So now you look at that and then you look at gold. It's interesting to think about, because when we're using it as like, for circuitry and computers and stuff. So the value is, everybody, I think, innate thought is that the value is like, here, I have this gold piece, and the sheriff of Nottingham collects them from us and gives them to the king, and Robin Hood, blah, blah. But really, gold actually has all these other insane uses, and what their technology was used for might have been a lot more advanced. Then could have been passed down, from even more advanced cultures that were annihilated by
who knows how many, right?
Natural disasters.
Yeah, I mean, you go back, like, think of dinosaurs, right? Because dinosaurs are like, okay, we all know dinosaurs' skeletons are here. If you're a dinosaur denier, I don't know what kind of thing you believe, but they're here. They're here.
Right, now, they're coming back, dude. They're coming back.
They're bringing the woolly mammoth back. You see
trying to bring them back. I mean, we got 20 movies on why not to do this.
Jurassic Park. It should have been a lesson.
Chinese are bringing back woolly mammoths right now. That is literally happening.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah,
it's like a hybrid. It's a hybrid, right? Like woolly mammoth and some other thing mixed together. So
they're gonna put them up in the Arctic, and they have plans for it to help combat climate change.
That's what they say. They're gonna make a zoo.
That's not gonna help.
They're gonna make a zoo, and they're gonna charge $10,000 to come in and see a woolly mammoth.
Right, and the next thing you know, it's the saber-tooth tiger. The next thing you know is fucking T-Rex, and then
T-Rex, and then Velociraptors, and then we all know what happens when the Velociraptors come. Everybody.
Oh, they're the ones for sure. They're the smartest of them all, right?
I can't believe
that they don't invent, that they don't bring back the Velociraptors before they bring back the Terminators, because we know Terminators are coming.
Just start with Triceratops, dude.
And like the
Terminators are coming.
The worst thing that can happen is we get
they're already here
in a Terminator scenario, and then while you're trying to survive the Terminators, on top of that, there's Velociraptors running around. You know what I mean?
If they put them on one island, it's fine. But once the pterodactyls come in, the flying dinosaurs, that's when everyone's fucked.
Yeah, they'll just fly somewhere and be like, "Oh, I'll just drop this egg from the T-Rex on this island," and then the T-Rex has. But I guess the whole point I know is I get it, but the whole point is like, okay, dinosaurs, right? Like, go back, T-Rex, blah blah, all the periods of time. You go into hundreds of millions of years, right? Hundreds of millions of years. That's their carbon dating technique. Okay, well, how long have us, like current humans, been like civilized, right? And have societies, right? We go back, few thousand BC or something like that, maybe push it to 10,000 BC for some stuff, and it always seems to get pushed back more and more. And yet randomly we went from caveman hunter-gatherers to here's a giant pyramid that we built that we don't understand how the fuck you could do that. And so you think of that little small gap in time, right? 10,000, 15,000 years something. And then, but dinosaurs were here 100 million years ago, 200 million years ago. Where's that gap in time between dinosaurs till now? What was going on? And I really do believe that there is a lot of stuff that happened in that time period. Dinosaurs died or whatever. And then what happened from that? We're talking about 100 million years. I mean, it's crazy to think that, but that is never addressed in history books. It's never addressed in like science books.
There's a book. I heard there's a book where they say we've only been around for like 6,000 or 7,000 years.
That's the fools that don't believe in the dinosaurs. Yeah,
there it is, dude.
That's I think that's the Bible.
Oh, you gotta
Yeah.
be careful when you go to the edge of the earth because you fall off. I don't know what
Yeah.
happens. when you fall off.
King
Flat Earth
James,
theory.
I believe. You know, it was nice to see. I was in a hotel about a month and a half ago. I was in a hotel. Actually, shit, 2 weeks ago I was too. No more Bibles in the nightstands. I
Oh
don't know
no,
if-
Oh, that's interesting.
they stopped
They
doing
s-
that. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
which state was it?
probably a while ago because I haven't been traveling in a long time. So
It wasn't Louisiana, dude, because I guarantee
Uh,
there's a Bible
Ve-
in every
In the
nightstand.
South, I
Vegas?
guarantee. Yeah, it's still.
I was
And
in-
it was one organization that was doing it. I think it was like the Gillians, I think.
Was that a
they
cult?
they're a
Christian
religious
branch.
branch off the Christians, yeah. But they would supply all those Bibles for free.
yeah, but
That is
the,
a weird. That's a weird thing, though.
the
right?
Bible is a history book, by the way.
Oh, and you could take those Bibles. They
Really?
place them. They place them there for you to take.
I never knew that.
Yeah, you can take them.
You could always
Sell
just
them on
go
eBay.
flip them. Yeah, that's also.
And then if you open it up, if you want to know more about
That's
I think it's the Gillians. There's a little.
One
information.
time we need to do a episode on Book of Enoch, which is a
Dude, you've been telling me
proverb.
that since we were in our 20s.
Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
Dude, that is a part of the Bible that originally
Yeah.
was in the Bible that was taken out,
Mhm.
and it is all about aliens. The whole
Does-
thing is aliens.
Does the Vatican have a copy of that?
I am
have the,
sure they have that.
Original draft?
Right?
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure the Vatican has hella hidden stuff that's just deliberately kept out of that just so they could sway. I mean, think about that. Christianity, the way it began, and I'm not going to criticize religion or anything right now, but I mean, why is it that I have a belief system and I'm going to go spread it around the whole world? And if you don't believe what I believe, then shit, man, we're going to have some problems, right? It's just weird. And so that's like kind of beginning of, we're going to take over your belief systems and you can't have thoughts kind
Yeah,
of thing.
you
Right.
worship our God or else. That's what they all did. That's what the Persians did.
And there's a
Makes you
political
think about the
purpose and
Warrens,
economic
dude.
purpose behind it, you know?
Yeah, with
Because the
Romans and
Warrens
all
were
that.
trying to argue if you have to fucking put your hand in a Bible to swear in the court, then why are they not going to believe the existence of the devil? Because that is discussed highly in the same book,
Yeah.
on which they make you put your hand on.
And
But
a lot of people would really just say, well, it's tradition. You know, why do we have the national anthem at ball games? It's tradition, right?
Yeah, because it's
Why do we
been-
have "In God We Trust" on our money still? It's just
Oh,
it's,
God.
it's what we do, you know.
Don't get me started. How about so yeah, I've always thought about this. Like, I've never been a witness in a courtroom for anything. If I was ever sworn in, it would make me laugh because I would probably say, well, I'm an atheist, so none of this matters.
Oh, so you can
You
actually
get out of
elect-
being,
wait,
you can
no,
get
no,
out of
Like,
jury duty.
I'll do your little hand motion. I'm like, none of this matters, by the way.
I
Like,
wouldn't even say that though. I would just be like, all right, I'll just go along with this, you know? And then
You can
Yeah.
elect to not swear in by the Bible. I think you can like put your hand on like the Constitution or something. But
yeah, they have
there-
some alternative,
there's
right?
something else. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
if they had picked a different religion or something?
Well, if you were in there, some guy, I'd be like, bring out the Book of Enoch, swear on that.
Yeah.
Well, that would, I still wouldn't do it, but I'm more like agnostic, I think, than atheist. I mean, you know,
I stick with the agnostic. I've stuck with it for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
well, I mean, we can't deny there's something beyond us. Look at the fucking universe, right? We humans are so egotistical and so, you know, just like we're the center of life, and that's why for thousands of years we're the center of the universe, right? The earth.
Well, I was
And if-
thinking, I was thinking about that because I was recently looking at the picture of the pale blue dot. And if you guys
What's that
remember what that is, it's from the last image that Voyager sent back in the 90s, I think, before it actually cut off. They sent back an image, and it was of the pale blue dot. You guys have seen it. I know you guys have. You just forgot. But it's a really weird picture
What
That's
Voyagers?
so Voyager, it was like not a satellite, but a oh fuck.
Is it a robot?
No, that shit that they just shot out into space.
Yeah, like a
decades
satellite.
ago. Yeah.
Just on a different
Rover?
planet, right?
Was it Rover? Red Rover?
The rover is
No.
the robot, right?
No, Voyager they sent out just to keep going, man.
Yeah.
Whatever
Like-
you want to call it. Like it's like a satellite that's on a way out there, not on Earth, right?
Yeah, it's sent out to space. It's still going, man. It's like
Yeah.
it's passed up. I mean, who knows where it's at now?
Damn, it's just going, huh?
Yes. So they lost that.
Hey, you still there, some guy? I see Murphy's there. Murphy, you there?
I'm here,
All right, so we lost
Mr. Green. Goddamn fucking internet, dude. My internet's been being
Yeah.
a bitch today.
Oh, hold on. I'm here. What are you talking about?
You
We
froze
lost
for
you.
a second. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Pale blue image. Okay, hold on. This is a really fucking freaky image. Let's see.
Show it up, bro. You probably put that face on the blue dot.
Yeah. So it's sent back this. Okay,
looks like
which
three
looks
streaks.
just
Looks like a rainbow or something.
Yeah. But you guys can't see it, but there's a tiny little fucking dot in the very background. Very, very, very tiny blue dot, and that is Earth.
Mm.
And
How
it's
far away was it?
Let's see.
Like where was it? Like on Mars or?
Okay, so the pale blue dot is a photograph of planet Earth taken on February 14th, 1990 by the Voyager 1 space probe. From
What's
a
a
record
probe?
distance, from a record distance
Mhm.
6 billion
Check for those
kilometers or 3.7 billion miles away. As
Oh.
part of- yeah.
probes. Not that far.
No, so and I think they put on like a record label on there, I think. In
Oh,
gold.
dude, you talking about the gold? You talking about the gold record?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we were
I
just
know about
talking about
that.
gold, so they put it in gold because it fucking lasts forever.
Yeah, dude, that gold record is fucking crazy shit. They
Yeah,
have
so-
embedded like sounds of nature
Dude,
of
dude,
Earth in
every-
that record.
Everybody on your phone right now, look up the pale blue dot, and you're gonna see
I'm-
the fucking image. It's
Yeah, I'm
super
looking at it.
creepy because if you think about it, that little blue dot,
That's Earth?
that's Earth. That's what we think.
How do we know
of
that?
Center of the universe. I don't know how they know it. I mean,
How the fuck do they know that? I don't know.
Math.
Oh, I'm sure they can calculate. that
Oh,
through
math. All right.
Yeah, I mean that's the only.
That's crazy. If that's Earth, that's crazy.
but I mean, think about it. Everybody that's ever lived or died in our world, all the different wars that have been fought, all the things that we believe, all centered way
that
out
little
there.
dot.
You
It's
know?
on that little dot.
Well, how about this?
That's crazy, right? Yeah.
They're sending the civilians for the first time ever for like a roller coaster around the Earth, right? Let's go do an orbit around the Earth. This will be fun. I mean, to me, that is a perfect example. And you look at how our like world is right now, right? Fucking million problems. Just seems like it's going down the shitter. And you think of civilizations that may have gotten even farther than us, right? But we're like just like, okay, we're just at the point where fools can go on a fun ride for hella Skrilla around the Earth, right? And will we collapse eventually? And we are the end of one cycle and the new cycle starts. You know, maybe the Earth has to heal itself and become more like hospitable to life to exist. But mass extinctions exist. We know this, right? We're talking
We've
about
caused
like
them.
99% of species die. And then what happens? And so here we are at this spot. We're in space. We got the probe. You know, we're fucking want to send people to Mars, all this shit. But at the same time, I think it's partly being driven by the fact that it kind of looks like we're fucked here. So we might not be able to stay here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
speaking of radiation, for just a few days and not being paid, and just to really have that title of the first non-astronauts to like orbit Earth, how much radiation do you think they were exposed to? Because that's a fuck ton of radiation up there.
Yeah, for
We're using
sure.
water in the walls of the spaceships to like, his water's like works really well to like stop
Yeah,
it, like absorb it.
absolutely, because it's so permeable. But you know what? I mean, definitely there's radiation, right? I mean, no matter what. But it's very different than being an astronaut and being out there for like 6 months or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so you might get a little blast of it, but I don't think it's really that more significant than maybe like taking like, you know, a handful of airplane flights throughout the year or something like that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the feeling I would get. And so, yeah, if you did that every day, you're gonna get fucked up. But definitely, we can't live in space without changing our bodies. Right? Our bodies will change if we lived. Imagine if you're there 10 years in space.
We wouldn't have any bones. Our
Your
bones